Hello everyone, so I'm going to do a little oyster video. So my sister called me up and her friend's gonna do some oysters next week. So they asked me, hey, can you give me some advice on it? And so I'm gonna show you how to shuck, but we'll start from the beginning. It's funny too, because I actually did a tutorial video on a FaceTime because someone needed help filleting a fish out in Maine. So anyway, but here, I'm in the Hamptons, and so I went to my favorite seafood shop in Wayne, Scott called The Seafood Shop, so that's pretty easy to remember. So first things first, oysters, these are local. Make sure you go to a good purveyor. That's the first thing. And you want to make sure, because they always tag them, they make sure they're safe. Wintertime is actually better with colder water. Summertime is those synonymous with oysters, rosé, some nice white wine. So we have these here. Be careful, because the shells are always sharp. So always make sure you don't handle them too much, but you want to wash them or rinse them off, as always, just because there might be debris and stuff. These are local. I think these are peconics, or they are peconics, not I think they are. See, there's some other stones and other little shells. Look at that little oyster right there. See, tiny ones. So anyway, we're gonna put this in a colander. It's a good way. And if you have a spray attachment, do that. If you want, you can put them under, put them in a big bowl of water. Make sure it's cold, obviously. Everything you want to do with oysters is cold and fresh. You don't want to keep them hanging around for a while. Also in the bag, leave it open. Just give it some breathing room. You don't want to close it off all the time. They are living things. Remember that. So be careful, because if you start agitating with your hands, these shells can cut you really quickly. Also look at the backs too. See, there might be some mud there. So what I do is just make sure, with that, see, you have to be able to do that. So see the mud there, you can see it. And the mud's always kind of stinky. So, but be careful, you don't want that in your oyster. So you want to make sure you kind of look those. So the first step you want to do is make sure they're clean before anything else. That is the most important part. So I take this, if you have a brush too, just specifically for oysters, you may want to scrub them a little bit. Sometimes there's other debris, but you want to make sure they feel kind of heavy, not light, because if they're really light, then there's not a lot of meat to it, and that's going to be a not delicious oyster. So we're gonna work on that, but yeah, that's the back, and you wanna make sure, sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't, but these look really good, nice and heavy. And then I'll show you how to shuck them outside, because it's nice. So I'm gonna head outside with my oysters, but before that, you wanna make sure everything's cold, so it's on ice. So even when you're shucking ahead of time, because people ask me, okay, you're not doing one by one and serving someone at an oyster bar, so you wanna make sure it sits on ice. So I'm gonna have a little setup here. I also have something deep so it catches the ice water, something underneath it, like a paper towel is great, or another towel. Then I'm gonna go to the freezer, fill it up with ice, and I'll show you, and I'll put another cloth on. Okay, so here, I got the ice in there. That's so it doesn't slide down, and I'm gonna put a cloth on top so it sits nicely on top. So the ice will eventually melt. Obviously, you're gonna have to have a place to trash the water from the ice, but this will keep the oysters in place and not moving and nice and ice cold. So we're gonna start like that. This is set up. I've got a little board. You need something to keep something flat down. You need this towel, and I'll show you what to do with it. Oysters on ice, okay? Oyster knife. So I actually have one at home, which is like a French one, which is a wooden handle. I didn't bring it, so Alex at the seafood shop was kind enough to give this to me. So, but basically, you want one with a little bit of a hook. The French ones are a little bit thinner like this too, and a little bit sharper on the side, because I'll show you why, to remove some of the muscle to this. So, okay, we'll start first. So this is how I learned, because it keeps you safer. I know guys that are competition guys that are just like crazy. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm more restaurant guy. So I actually wrap this towel just like this, like you're gonna be a boxer. But this helps in case, so you don't slip and hurt yourself, because that happens a bunch with oysters. So, all right, so oyster here. This is the back side where the valve is, so I cleaned this one out. So make sure it's not muddy. Put it down, just like that. Make sure it doesn't slip. Okay, now the second thing is put this in the back. So just, you're leaning here, and then let the knife do the work. So what you wanna do is push in, and it's gonna pop the back, just like that. See, pop. But see, there's a little bit of dirt there too. So you also have this towel to do that with. So you see that? That's what you do. You pop it up, and then there's gonna be a top muscle here. So you're gonna slide the knife across. That's why you make sure the knife is clean. The towel comes in handy. One motion. So there it is. So the sharper the knife, the easier it is. Okay, so then you got that beautiful flat side, no meat taken out. So now this is what I do with another towel. We'll take that and take all this debris out. Because a lot of times you eat it and they don't clean it very well. I know they're a busy restaurant, but still you wanna make sure you have the best eating experience. So I use this towel too, or separate one. And then you pull the bottom out. So there's this other muscle. You wanna make sure it's completely clean. But so you didn't lose any of the liquor or the juice. And if you make it really ugly, you can always flip it over. It's another trick that we learned. And it looks beautiful and pristine, just like that. There you go. And then put it back on. So as you're doing a bunch of it, when somebody's saying, okay, how do I do a lot? You want to make sure you can cover it something, but make sure it's flat so you don't lose the liquor. You don't want to lose that juice. And then we'll do one more for good measure, and I'll just go a little bit here, there, so you don't lose it. Boom, pop, clean. Always clean, because see, even though you try to get it on when you're washing it, so that stuff. Slice, it open on the top. Okay, so that's it. Clean here. I lost a little bit on top, it's okay. And then just run it underneath. And then make sure, so you can just jiggle it. Sometimes just a little bit in the back, just double check. There you go, another oyster, perfect. So, little lemon juice, little rosé. Delicious. If you like this video, please like it, because that helps me out. Subscribe to see more of this content, and please comment to see, so I can see if you want to learn something else. Got tons of knowledge up here. Sometimes I forget what I've learned, and this is what helps me, like someone asking me, hey, how do you do this? There you go. Hopefully that helps you out. Enjoy.